Okay, I'm going to record this lecture. It's chapter 2. This is for week 3, and the theme is self-expression. There are very few slides in this lecture, which is why I chose not to have you all convene in the classroom for less than 10 slides. So the developmental aspects of self-expression. When children are engaged in activities or being self-expressive, it is an indicator of their individuality and their internal beliefs. So we observe closely to see how they play, how they interact, how they engage, the materials they use, whether they're arts and craft materials or toys, or they're using toys with symbolic meanings, and their play is evolving in a scenario that is kind of part of their personality and bubbling out. This creative process provides the child an escape from what they are, what may be uncomfortable for them, or what they might fear. Self-expression improves the quality of care for patients when they can let their innermost feelings out. It's much healthier than keeping them internalized. From ages 4 to 8 months, they tend to mimic their caregiver expressions. So if you are super engaged and animated in how you speak to children, they will mimic those same caregiver expressions. If you are kind of sad and just kind of no affect, children will also take that on and not provide much affect. At around 4 years of age, children internalize emotional expressions, understanding what these feelings are that they're dealing with. When they feel sad, they'll tell you, that makes me sad. By 5, they develop a bit more poise and control with how they express themselves. By 7 years of age, they become a bit more introverted and thoughtful about the image that they are projecting. By 8 years of age, children openly express feelings, learning to advocate for themselves and really sharing how they feel and why they feel that way. In terms of self-expression and coping, a child's repertoire of coping strategies is the same during health and illness as it is when they are healthy and thriving. So if they are fearful or introverted or not very expressive of their feelings in healthful times, that is going to be the same demeanor that we observe and pick up and assess when they are sick or in a healthcare situation. When these feelings are not released, they fester, they grow, which gradually can undermine a child's body's defenses. So it can actually impugn your immune system. Suppressing emotions can reduce their ability to develop a healthy rapport. It may inhibit the formation of relationships, and they tend to keep to themselves because, again, those feelings are festering and building up, like almost like a pot on a stove with a lid on it, and the lid starts to kind of vibrate a little bit as the ingredients percolate, and sometimes that even that lid lets out a little bit of expressive verbalization, a tone, like a or a release of energy, that sort of thing. So when self-expressive activities are used to help children release their feelings, it will help them cope by providing opportunities to reflect on and find meaning through their experiences, good, bad, ugly, whatever, about healthcare. Your book, Bullig, is suggested to report that self-expression seems to lessen the negative impact of hospitalization, which makes perfect sense, because the more that we encourage children to talk about, to illustrate, to share their innermost feelings, and be self-expressive through play and activities, it will lessen that impact of hospitalization, which means the stress, the anxiety, the trauma associated with healthcare encounters. Self-expression and coping. Great topic. Research shows that offering opportunities of self-expression, whether they're verbal and telling a story, tell me a little bit about this, written stories, other behavioral forms, acting it out, can help adolescents cope with hospitalization. Just sitting and talking with adolescents can be a really cathartic, healthy release for them. Wistrom, in your book, investigated what takes place during play therapy when hospitalized children are given the opportunity to use expressive art materials, such as clay, paint, textiles, things that can be manipulated, and the meaning that children assign to these art objects. So whether they create something with clay or they are painting a picture, it's really important that we ask children and adolescents, tell me a little bit about your activity. Tell me about your completed project. Because the more that they can describe and convey the meaning behind what they've created, the better we can understand what's going on in their psyche, what is really taking place in terms of their fears and frustrations. And through these activities, children express that fear, that powerlessness, that longing to be home in familiar surroundings, be healthy, be with their friends, be in school, and so forth. Play facilitates an emotional release, which is really important. Some special considerations. Children have different temperaments, whether they're easy, active, slow to warm, these temperaments are very pervasive in how they reflect their self-expression. And their communication styles also reflect those individual differences. These preferences should be considered when selecting self-expression activities for children. That's why puppets are so important for allowing a child to select out a puppet that they gravitate to, whether it's a lamb or a lion, because that has a significant meaning for how they feel. If they feel like they've been overpowered, then they may choose a lamb puppet or something that's fairly docile. If they feel angry, they might choose a lion puppet and want to be ferocious and fight back at how they feel being in the hospital and being poked and prodded and so forth. Throughout our lifetime, spontaneous and creative self-expression can increase a sense of competence and well-being. And this is really important because it kind of filters into our next week's lecture. Children need to be supported in their eagerness to explore materials without fear or disapproval from adults or peers. Sometimes when we have parents attend an activities room session with their child, parents may sit close to their child and participate in an activity as well, look over and say, well, why are you painting the sky purple? It's supposed to be blue. And that is really an adult um, uh, kind of projection of what they think something should look like. But when you ask a child how they feel about their sky being purple, they may tell you, well, the last time they saw the sky, it was at sunset, and there was some purple and some red in the sky, and it was powerful to that child because that's how they remembered the sky. So it really displaces that parental disapproval, or it helps a child to advocate for themselves by kind of clearing things up, or it, um, it, just exploring with that child the reasoning behind why they made their sky purple, or what the meaning of their expression is in their art and their puppetry and their play and so forth. Flexibility and planning is super key to captivating or capturing an individual child's expressive intent. So by kind of teasing out the meaning behind, tell me a little bit about your picture, tell me a little bit about what this means in your play, or so on, is really helpful in really getting the true identity of what they're trying to convey. Some adaptations for children with physical disabilities. There's a great table in the book, 2.1, that really helps to illustrate this. We promote self-expression for children with disabilities, physical disabilities, that requires strategy and adaptation of maybe an original activity that we want to provide, so that everyone is successful if it's a group activity, or that child in an individual activity session is successful in achieving the end result. It's very important to ask children if they would like, again, to tell you about their art, because it can be very revealing to their innermost thoughts and feelings, and the intent behind their self-expression. We want to provide encouragement when a child seems to be struggling. We can help them holding the paper, holding the scissors, helping them in some way so that they can master success with that activity. It's also important for adults facilitating the activity to be non-judgmental and supportive to a child's efforts. Whether they complete the activity and it looks half completed, that's all they can do. That may be all the energy they can muster. That may be all of the attention span they can provide. And so they should be supported and encouraged for whatever end result is their finished product. Having fun is the most significant aspect of the therapeutic process. They need to enjoy themselves while they're doing it. Otherwise, it becomes a task, a chore, and it loses the efficacy behind the therapeutic value. Self-expression activities also provide an acceptable and safe way for children to release anger, to release frustration and aggression. And then here's the activity for the week. And I did share what it looked like 2 weeks ago. Felt puppets. If you don't have felt, you can use a paper bag. You can use a sock. You can use construction paper and just staple or lace up the edges so that it can fit on a hand. And then you can adorn it with animal character or a person, hair, eyes, nose, mouth, clothes, whatever. And again, this is directly from the book. It's the template from the book. So it is not what I expect for you to put into your activity write-up. This is way more information than I am requesting. I do not want you to use this as a template. It's just from the book so that you know this activity is in the book. Okay, Thank you for allowing me to share this via a recorded lecture so that you can do other things on this night and enjoy yourself. Okay, so view this lecture at your leisure, and we will see you face to face next week. Okay.